Welcome to the HLC Gaming Podcast, where you talk about video game reviews, upcoming game releases, do skits, and everything in between. This is your host, Christian Havers speaking. How's everybody doing? Alright, so today's topic is Fire Emblem Fates. We're gonna do a nice game review about it, talk about everything regarding Conquest, Birthright, and the last story, Revelations. But before we get to that, we need to talk about some game releases coming up in May. Okay guys, so the first thing we're going to be talking about is Battleborn. Battleborn is an online first-person shooter that was developed by Gearbox Software. It has a very interesting visual style that you won't see in other first-person shooters like Call of Duty, and each character is packed with their own unique skills. Battleborn was released as of today for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Next game is Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Uncharted 4 is a third-person shooter created by Naughty Dog. After 3 other successful entries, Uncharted 4 will be concluding the story of main character Nathan Drake. This game will be released exclusively on PS4, worldwide on May 10th. Third one, Doom, or as it was originally known as Doom 4, is a first-person shooter game developed by ID Software and published by Bethesda Softworks. This game will work as a reboot to the series and serves as the first major installment since the release of Doom 3 back in 2004. The game will be released on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on May 13th. Next game we have is Overwatch. Overwatch is a multiplayer first-person shooter being developed by Blizzard Entertainment. The game focuses on co-op play through the use of various characters with their own roles and abilities within a team. It will be released on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on May 24th. Lastly, we have One Piece Burning Blood. One Piece Burning Blood is a fighting game developed by Spike Chunsoft. It will focus on 1 vs 1 fighting and using double fruit abilities, while Logia users being able to use their powers to avoid damage. It will be released on PlayStation 4, PS Vita, Xbox One, and PC on May 31st. This has been a report for the most anticipated game releases coming out in May 2016. Alright guys, it's time for the Fire Emblem Fates game review by HLC Gaming. Hey! Alright, first we're gonna talk about who made the game. The game was made by Intelligent Systems. They're already known for making a successful entry in the Fire Emblem series, which essentially was Fire Emblem Awakening, which were released about like 3 years ago to Fates release. So it's not that bad. Fates was actually Awakening was actually pretty good. But we're not here to talk about Awakening. We're here to talk about Fates. The release dates for Fire Emblem Fates. In Japan, it got released on June 25th, 2015. They received it like literally a year before us. Not literally a year, but like they were in 2015. We got it in 2016. So it's not that bad. In America, in Europe, everywhere else, we received it on February 19, 2016. Mind you, these 2 release dates have only been for the Birthright and Conquest portions of the whole story of Fates. For Revelations, in Japan, they released it on July 9, 2015, while everyone else, we received it on March 10, 2016. So essentially, they gave everybody, including Japan, like a month in between both stories, so that way they can release the 3rd game, so that way you find out what really is going on, you know? Alright, so with that said, now we can go into like the general story. The general story involves a war between 2 kingdoms, which are the Hoshido Kingdom and the Nor Kingdom. Essentially, we come to find out in Revelations that it was actually, spoiler alert by the way, the King of Dragons, the dragon known as Anankos, he was actually the one who provoked the war between Hoshido and Nor to start. However, when you play Birthright and Conquest respectively, You don't know that. You just know that the other side provoked the war between both kingdoms. So if you're in Birthright, you automatically got provoked by the Norian kingdom into the war. While if you're in Conquest, then automatically Hoshido provoked the war between Nor and Hoshido. That's essentially what it is. Now we're gonna talk about some of the main characters in there. Obviously, you start off as the main character. Your name is Korin by default, but you can change it to whatever name you want. If you chose the Hoshido side, or Birthrights in other words, then you have the eldest sibling, which is Ryoma. He's a sword master. The next eldest is Hinoka, who is a Pegasus Knight. The next eldest is Takumi, who is a bowman. And lastly, we have the youngest sibling, which is known as Sakura, and she's mainly used for healing. On the north side, you have Xander, which is Xandr. He is a paladin, while the next eldest is Camilla. Camilla is a malignite who specializes in like axes and tomes, so like magic and axes, pretty much. The next eldest is actually Leo. Leo is more of a spellcaster, but his class is known as a Dark Knight. The next and last one, the youngest sibling, is Elise. She's also a healer, but she's more known as a troubadour since she rides horseback. Sakura doesn't ride horseback, she's just on her feet. Goes to show that she's not lazy compared to Elise. I'm joking. When you're playing Birthright, your mission essentially is to stop King Garen, who is the current king of the Norian kingdom, to stop his tyranny, since he's assumed to be the one to have caused the whole war between both kingdoms. And so it's your mission between you and your blood siblings, in other words, to stop him. While if you play Conquest, then in Conquest, you're essentially playing with the family you grew up with from the get-go, and you guys are essentially trying to stop King Garen as well. So in other words, it's sort of like fighting from within, and it's pretty interesting. Although the endings for Birthright, actually turned out to be a lot sadder compared to the ending of Conquest. At least that's in my opinion with the way it ended. I liked both endings. However, I did like the more justified ending from Birthright, but that's because I'm a sap. But definitely in Conquest, the ending was actually pretty bittersweet. So I was okay with it. Once you get then you get into Revelations, you essentially decide to not join either or kingdoms to fight against each other, and you say that essentially like, no, there has to be another way. I refuse to fight with either my birth siblings or the people who I call family, who's been with me since I was born. And so both kingdoms actually end up going against you. However, little by little, as the story progresses, you end up convincing them to join your army, because you end up finding out through the songstress Azura, who joins you as well, that you actually have to fight King Anankos. He is the real villain. He is the one who started the whole war between the Hoshidan and Norian kingdoms. So in Revelations, your mission is to literally stop King Anankos from essentially ruling the world, because that's what he wants. And essentially for him to do that, he was controlling King Garen. And essentially that's what provoked the whole war to happen between both kingdoms. He wanted both kingdoms to end, and essentially just for him to rule everything in darkness. Truly evil, I guess. Now we're gonna talk about like the different features that the game supports. In Japan, they had a lot more features involved. Like if you guys played like the recent installments of Pokemon, like Pokemon X and Y, then you know about Pokemon Me feature, where you're allowed to like pet your Pokemon. And this was a feature that was included in the Japanese version of Fire Emblem. However, it ended up being that in the US versions that didn't come through. And I'm not sure why. I think it's pretty stupid, but whatever. Another feature that was around was some things that actually got censored were the fact that there was an actual like lesbian character in there, and they kind of like half-assed it. So they're trying by making her more of a bisexual person rather than a gay person. But whatever, it's not an issue for me, but for a lot of other people, it really is a big issue. So continuing on, we obviously had like the other features, sort of like the support system, in which once you get your 2 characters to S rank, they get married, they have a child. So that's still the same. The battle system still the same, with the exception of like the teaming up. Rather than in Awakening, whether you team paired 2 units together and they would still attack together, now it's more like the partner who's teamed up with the main with the leading character. Now it's just they're just supporting, giving like the stat boost mid battle, and they have like a blocking system that after a certain amount of attacks that the main unit receives, then they block the next attack from the enemy, which is pretty cool. Although I'd rather have a balance of both, it would help out a lot better, but I guess it is what it is. So essentially, with everything that I've experienced in Conquest, Birthright, and Revelations, individually, I give Birthright a 8 out of 10. I did like the story a lot, and on top of that, I love the ending. That's me again, being a sap. For Conquest, I give it maybe like a 7 out of 10, just a little bit less than Birthright because the ending was bittersweet. But the fact that that Conquest really gave me a challenge and it gave me a tough time is actually pretty darn good. And Revelations, essentially, I loved it. I loved the whole fact of finding out who the real evil was. And so for Revelations, I definitely give it an 8 out of 10 because it felt like it was midway between both easy and hard. So I didn't feel like I was being given too much of a challenge at the same time. So that's why I give it an 8 out of 10. And now, finally, we're gonna do a special presentation for you guys. I'm gonna be singing Lost in Thoughts, which is the main theme song for Birthright, Revelations, and Conquest. That's normally sung by Azura, the character in the songstress, essentially. I hope you guys enjoy it. You are the ocean's great waves, destined to seek life beyond the shore, just out of reach. Yet the waters ever change, flowing like time. The path is yours to climb. In the white light, a hand reaches through. The bull-edged blade cuts your heart in two. Waking dreams fade away. Embrace the brand new day. Sing with me a song of birthrights and love. The light scatters to the sky above. Dawn breaks through the gloom, white as a bone, lost in thoughts, all alone. You are the ocean's great waves, destined to seek life beyond the shore, just out of reach. Yet the waters ever change, flowing like time. The path is yours to climb. Embrace the dark you call a home. Gaze upon an empty white throne, a legacy of lies, a familiar disguise. Sing with me a song of conquest and fate. The back pillar cracks beneath its weight. Night breaks through the day, hard as a stone, lost in thoughts, all alone. The path you walk on belongs to destiny. Just let it flow. All of your joy and your pain will fall like the tide. Let it flow. Life is not just filled with happiness nor sorrow. Even the thorn in your heart, in time it may become a rose. A burdened heart sinks into the ground. A veil falls away without a sound. Not day or night, wrong or right, for truth and peace you fight. Sing with me a song of silence and blood. The rain falls but can't wash away the mud. Within my ancient heart dwells madness and pride. Can no one hear my cry? You are the ocean's great waves, destined to seek life beyond the shore and just out of reach. Yet the waters ever change, flowing like time. The path is yours to climb. You are the ocean's great waves. Alright guys, thanks again for listening to my gaming podcast. This is Christian Haber signing off. I hope you enjoyed everything that I talked about today about Fire Emblem Fates. And look, I highly recommend you guys trying it out and getting the game, alright? See you guys, have fun. Peace!